It's Hilda time. Yay! It's also ridiculously hot. Not liking that. And that is, well, it's 6 o'clock now in the evening. That's indoors in the shade. Time to report some progress on Hilda, the Imp. There is some progress. To start off with, oh, it's got an alarm. Security is fitted. It doesn't look like there's been a lot of progress, but trust me, there has. In fact, there's been a hell of a lot of progress. So, ignition in. We have electrics. We've got wipers, like that. We've got horn, I think. Yep. We've got indicators. The most reassuring relay clunk. This oil temperature gauge, this is nifty, look. It does voltage to start with until you start the engine, and then that light goes out and it becomes oil temperature. It won't because it's not wired in. Lights are working. That is, oh, that's main beam. There you go. These dials I'll do something with another time. I don't know what I'm going to do with those yet. I don't like the look of them. And there's the mileage, look. 2,359. Main beam there. And flash function. This is all good progress. There is a lot of stuff that isn't done. But this is all good. The reason this is done is because my colleague, or well, no, ex-colleague, because he's retiring, and this is his retiring present. He gets to do this, although he's weird and he likes doing this sort of thing. He has effectively rewired the car. So there's a new fuse box with relays in it and all sorts. That's going to go on this little hanging tray here, which is going to flip up and be hidden inside the dash. I've got the dashboard to finish and everything yet, all the hardware, all that kind of stuff I've got to do. But yeah, he's gone through, he's gutted the wiring basically and started again with it, which is what it needed. So there's the ECU for the ignition. That will live inside the rear passenger door bin, because why not? Yeah, I mean, this is real progress. This is really good stuff. Feeling actually positive that it will hit the road again. Will it make Goodwood? I'm not so sure. That's like 15 days away. Number one priority on this car has got to be get it back on the road. It's been off the road like 2 years now. So get it back out on the road and start enjoying it. So that's got to be the priority. So I've got some bits to do myself. Obviously, he's kindly doing the wiring for me. But I've got everything else to do, including, do you like these? Yeah, I've got brakes to do. I've got to fit these to the springs. I've had these spacers made to jack the rear springs up very slightly. Those combined with the rubber cups should give me an extra 10 mil or so at the back, because I wanted to raise it slightly so I can raise the front slightly, because it's just a bit too low for me. Not for the youth, but for me, I wanted to have some suspension as well, so I'm going to raise it. But it'll still be pretty low. It'll still be lower than a normal Imp would be, but that is what I'm doing at the moment. But I have some issues I've got to contend with. And one of the things is something that needs modifying, well, sooner rather than later. Oh, let's scratch that. I need to put the carburetors back on. These are Honda Fireblade carburetors. And then I can mount the fuel filter mount and everything like that. They normally go on here. There we go. I've got cables to hook back up and everything like that. Today's problem is in there, because what I used to have was a sort of ready removable panel. So you would open the rear hatch with this closed and take the panel out, and then you'd have access to the oil filler cap, which on a TU engine is there. Well, this type of TU engine, it's there. But that is not going to be easy, because that is going to be underneath. There's this like bit of metal that's going in here, which has been just tacked in place at the moment. I just realised and he's sorting out. that's where the lid for the internal cover is going to sit, because you can see the back of the rear seat there. So you won't be able to get to this, but that's fine, because what I'm going to do is fit this. This is an original, I know it says AC, but this is an original Imp oil filler cap, and I'm very simply going to fit it kind of, well, yeah, I mean, it'll be like on this rocker cover somewhere. It'll probably be at an angle. So I need to take this rocker cover off, seal up that hole there, and then weld a bit of tube to the rocker cover and mount the cap. And then it has an original Hillman Imp oil filler cap, even if it doesn't have the engine. So the first thing I'm doing is just marking off roughly where the cap's going to go. I'd quite like to put it on that flat bit there. I think maybe just slash cutting it and having it going in like that. Probably want to avoid this area because there's a baffle plate under this as well. Let's take this off. That's going to be fun to remove. I just noticed how close I've got it to the throttle linkage. Come on. There we go. Very poor access. Who did this? Stupid idea. Oh dear. What a peg that was. So then what I've got to do is seal up this bit of the rocker cover with the original cap, because that is basically what you get in a Saxo, because it is from a Saxo. So you need to grind that away so it's just flush and just weld it up. And then drill a hole at this end. Right, so that will go on like that. So yeah, I'm thinking, shall I just cut it down and have it? I mean, it would be nice to have it at an angle, but I'm thinking if I cut the tube down, it would... I'm going to try and put it at an angle, because it just looks better. Right. So I need to cut that rocker cover up first and work out where the hole's going here. Right, so I've got the rocker cover here on bench. That's the hole. I'm going for it. I'm going for an angle. I haven't got time to faff about setting up a jig to be able to cut an oval. Why am I looking over there? An oval in there. So I'm going to do it with a hole saw in the middle and then just whittle the rest of it out with a file, because it's only thin tin anyway. And then I need to cut this away, make a flat plate that will just go over there. Hopefully try and look a bit like one of them. No? Well, we'll find out. So yes, let's make a hole here, and then decide whether I kind of go a bit nuts and put it like that. I'll probably just come out straight, and then the cap will go in there like that. Useful actually, because the cap is a vented type, and that will be near the near the vents on the back of the car. So all the fumes will come out and stuff. So yeah, I need to make a hole. One hole, not quite the right shape because it needs to be a bit more oval than that, but I'm just going to weld that on from underneath while it's, because obviously from a width point of view it's fine. I'm going to weld that on from underneath, tack it in place, and then grind away the excess metal from underneath with a file, to be honest, because it's not that much work. And then weld it from underneath. I'm going to try and just weld it from underneath. Obviously all this powder coat, this lovely powder coat, is going to burn away and look terrible, but I can come back to that another time. For now, I'd quite like to put that on, but have it welded from underneath, as I say, so it doesn't look obvious that I've done it myself. I mean, it probably will a bit, but yeah. Bastard! Wear gloves. Okay, yeah, so you can kind of tell that I've got the welder dialed up a little bit too high, maybe. And then Just needs a file, basically. So it is absolutely not the next day. No. A little bit more progress on rocker cover. People who have one of these rocker covers would be saying, that's not progress, you've ruined it. To you, yes I have, but to me, no. I now have my tube, see? Yeah. That's not ugly, oh Christ. That's not ugly welding around there, I do promise. It's weld from the inside that came out. I had the welder turned up a little bit too high and I didn't notice, but I think I got away with it. There's the oil filler cap, which says AC, weirdly. That's not an odd one, they all say that. And that goes on like that. And there's my oil filler cap. And underneath, it looks like that. It's like the little sort of breather bit. And me being me, I was gonna chop this off and make a flat plate and weld it flat and try and make it look like that rib there and that rib there. And make it look like it was never there. This is why it's hard being me. Obviously, I have hardly any time left. I just need to fill that hole. You're not gonna see it because it's gonna be, I mean, some people will be looking at this going, why don't you just leave the cap in there? It's fair, but no. No, I'm not going that far. So it's going to be in there. The bulkhead's going to be about, well, you can't see it. Bulkhead's going to be about there. So this bit of the rocker cover is going to be visible when you open the back. Lid, boot, no. Everything here is going to be hidden. So it doesn't matter about getting it absolutely mint. So I've come up with a quick trick, a quick fix. It is this. You can, no, hang on. It is this. See? It's basically a bit of metal I cut out with a hole saw from this plate. And it happens to be the right size to plug that. So I'm going to weld that onto the rocker cover and then I'll probably weld that hole up in the middle, because that would be sensible. Grind it flat, bit of prep, minimal prep, a little bit around here as well, to get rid of all the old burnt powder coat. Annoyingly, this is powder coated, so if I wanted to completely strip this and start again, it would take me ages to do it, which I'm not going to bother doing. I'm going to get some sandpaper and some wet and dry and things and just quickly key it up and then get some gloss black on it, because I'm not arsed, basically. So that will go on there. I shall weld that down now, and then yeah, rocker cover, apart from being painted, done. There you go. One hole welded up. Look, you can't see through it. Well, we're getting there. Looks like a polished oil filler cap, doesn't it? But it's not. It's a bit of metal welded on and then rubbed down a bit. It's not absolutely perfect, but it's good enough considering you'll only be able to see it like that. So I'm going to do some rubbing down and painting. I don't actually know, of course, that this is oil tight yet, which is a slight risk. What I've decided I will do is give this rocker cover some personalisation with a welder. There we go. My handwriting was never the best. H for happy, no, for Hilda. Oh, powder coating is so hard to get through. It's ironic because when you put it on a TVR chassis, it falls off. The paper's falling to bits. Why am I filming this? There we go, one rocker cover ready for painting. Excuse the fact it's so dark, I don't know why. It really doesn't feel that dark in this corner. So I'm just going to whack some paint on it. It won't be the whole thing, it will just be enough to make it look presentable-ish. Long term, it'll need shot blasting and doing again. But just to put it on the car and get the car going again, this should be fine. There we go. That'll do for now. Right, well, that's all the hours I've got tonight. And yeah, just tonight, not last night as well. And I've just basically done a rocker cover. That's it. That's all I've done. And that's taken quite a long time. But hopefully it'll work. I will put a picture of the Saxo engine bay with that rocker cover of the Saxo before it was taken apart. And you can see where the oil filler cap is on that compared to where it was on Hilda. So that's why I was moving it. So when that's done, it's rocker cover back on. And then carburetor's back on and fuel system. That'll be tomorrow. Not tomorrow for you, tomorrow for me, because I don't know how many months time this will actually go out, but yeah. Yay! One rocker cover. Ooh, shiny. Ish. Don't look at all of it because there's some runs and some matte patches. So now I'm going to put that back on the engine. Would anyone like a Citroen Saxo oil filler cap? I have no need for it anymore. I deliberately did the H on the piss, as you can see. It's not square. It's not perfect. Because life isn't perfect. This car isn't perfect. And truly, what is perfect? What is perfection? It's a philosophy lesson. It's not just a rocker cover. Hilda the Imp, asking all the big questions. The moment of truth. The big question is, how much can I scratch my new paint job? I haven't scratched it yet. This is going better than expected. Ooh. So the spacer goes between the plate, and if you don't put the spacer in there, you get a rattle. Why is it gone so dark? Why is it so dark? I apologise, the camera had for some reason changed its settings back to dark mode. Yeah, I was saying there's the baffle plate that goes inside. The spacer goes between the underside of the rocker cover and the top of the baffle plate, because otherwise it rattles. So if you haven't got the spacers in there, they buzz. And if you don't put the baffle plate in there, it wouldn't buzz, but it would spew oil into the breather, which we don't want. So I just need to find my spanner, which if I were organised, I'd have had it here with me, but I'm not organised, so I don't. Okay, it was one worse than that. I did have the spanner. I was stood on it. So that's worse than being disorganised. That's just being absolutely incompetent. Okay. The final piece. God, if it didn't fit now, that would be really annoying. Why won't it fit? Don't tell me that the paint has made it too thick. There we go. Yay! My oil filler cap. I'm not going to paint it. I'm going to leave it like that. Patina. And then you just take that off. Glug, 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 glug. And you get stuck again. Why am I? Oh, okay, yeah. Dipstick, filler cap. How practical is that? You can reach them both with one hand. Yeah, I'm having a bit of a nightmare trying to get the carbs, which are all there, back on the inlet manifold. The rubber is quite hard and not very cooperative, so going to make it slippy. It's hot. Right, carbs are in, not fully done up, but the choke is now connected as well, which it wasn't for a long time before, and that made starting the car early in the morning interesting, or really bloody annoying if you're one of my neighbours. But I don't care, because they can be really annoying too. So that bracket there, which I've put on here, will allow the filter king, as this is known, it's basically just a fuel filter, that will mount up here in the engine bay, quite high up, because it's going to feed those carburetors there, and it'll almost gravity feed them. It's kind of like a sump, that's why I did it. It's almost like a swell pot. I've run out of time to do that today, but that's where it's going to go. I've made the bracket. The bracket will be welded to the inside there because it's double skin. That's not the wing. It's just a second skin. So that'll get welded to that. And then after it's welded, probably do something with a grinder and some paint in that corner there just to try and improve things because it's a bit ugly. And then I'll have to change the fuel hose to it. And when I've got that in place, then I can start looking at the main problem, which is my coolant pipes. They don't fit where I put them. So that's a big problem. But yeah, once I've done the fuel system there and everything like that, in theory the engine would run once it's wired up. The wiring is still to be done here, you see. But once that's done, in theory the engine would work. So I need to finish that. It'll all have to come out again. The engine bay is going to look minging for the next year or so because I've basically just already figured in my head that I'm going to concentrate on making everything work. And then once it works, I mean, it worked before, it's done 2,000 odd miles, but I want to make it work in its next format, if you like. And I'm not going to paint anything until I'm happy with that format. So it's going to be under test conditions at the back here. The interior, hopefully not, but you never know, that could go wrong as well. Goodwood, not so sure. Not so sure. You never know, be positive. 13 days to go, and it's not looking likely, is it? But you don't know, you know, this thing, it was working and running and whatnot. It's going to have rear seat belts, look, an Imp with rear seat belts. So yes, there we go. Hilda update, rocker cover modified, got an original Hillman Imp oil cap, carbs back on, throttle linkage is all connected. Yeah, so there we go. There's Hilda update, more to come. I don't know what that is.